Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our today's talk, which we are going to share between us, Ayurveda and spirituality. Now, I'm very confident that all of us at some stage in our life must have looked into this, the most important component of our human life, what we call as spirituality. Every one of us at some stage in our life tried to investigate, tried to find what is spirituality and how I can attain it. And at the same time, the most important factor which we are going to talk in our discussion is what is correlation between Ayurveda and spirituality? Why one has to know at least to certain level about Ayurvedic philosophy before we go to the spiritual journey. So in that respect, first component comes up that what is spirituality and why we have that craving, or sometimes why we feel so much attractive to that subject. Now, to go a little bit deeper into this understanding, first we need to ask ourselves, do we believe in that concept of death and birth? Or even if I don't go there, just to ask another part, do we believe that there is a creator who has created this whole creation? And we are only talking about the one galaxy in which we are at the moment. There are so many other galaxies which again has been created by that creator. But question comes up, do we believe in that? Now, if we believe, then this concept for discussion become a little bit easier to talk about, understand, and to that creator, whatever name we want to give, either God or creator or Paramatma, whatever name you want to give, you can. And now there are many people who don't believe in God. So for them, this subject can be a little bit weird or out of their interest. But at the same time, for those who don't even believe in God, if we talk to them, even on a very casual level, that how this creation has been created, so their answer will be simple, by energy. So we should accept that part, that energy has created everything. And energy is what keeping us going as a human being, or anyone, any living creature in this world, or any non-living, that all is based on energy. So even if we accept that, Then next point comes up, if energy is there, there should be a source for that energy, from where that energy is coming. So that source is something we need to, or we should find, and many people will be looking towards that. So ultimately, whether we believe in Creator, God, Paramatma, Allah, Vaheguru, whatever these names are in our own languages, that does not matter, or even energy. Question is, where is that Creator? Where we should find? And in that journey, question second comes up about role of Ayurveda. Now, as we have always understood and talked about and discussed at different platforms, that Ayurveda is a science which is the only science in the world that comes with a philosophy. And that philosophy revolves around not just understanding the physical state, but also how non-physical aspects play a role in our well-being. And under that non-physical aspect, the component come up what we call as mind and soul, and then the body will come. So body is something every science will talk about. Our medical science also has the understanding on body. All different systems can be talked about. But no science talk about mind and soul. Whereas in Ayurveda, these are the very primary component to understand the total well-being of an individual. So when we look at the soul, what is actually soul? That is where everything will start. What we call as spirit, again energy you can call it, that soul which is keeping us going. That is where our individuality, our life revolves. Because when an individual dies, what makes us to say that that person is dead as compared to the person is alive? Because everything is still there in that 5 foot 6 inch, 5 foot 9 inch individual. But now that physical body is not working. So what make and what goes out of that body, or if not out, where that switch is which has turned off? Ayurveda clearly define that soul is what is our essence, and soul goes out of the body, and that's how the person gets dead, is termed as dead. And further, if we look at into Ayurveda, there are 4 aims has been given in the very beginning of Ayurvedic learning, which Ayurveda talk about, Vedic philosophy talk about, that each one of us must follow those 4 aspects. And what are those 4 aspects? Is dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Now, I'm sure most of us know about what dharma, artha, kama mean, but how they need to be implemented, interpreted, so that my ultimate goal, which is moksha, becomes easy. What is moksha? Moksha is liberation. Liberation from what? Liberation from this shackle of death and birth part. And one will ask question, why I should be looking for that? I'm happy here. Even I have a million and billions dollar. What is the purpose of me looking for liberation? But then that person also know, and we also know, that this is not in a permanent place for us to live. We all have to give up one day this place, whatever our relationships are around, our children, husband, wife, partner, mother, father, they all will be left behind. No one is going to go with us when the death comes up. And then question comes up, what is after death? And that's where some aspect of what we call as spirituality start coming up. Because that's another realm to understand, that how our next journey comes up. That is another aspect in Ayurvedic psychology, we call it, that spirituality relate with the God realization, but God realization cannot be achieved without self-realization. And now what is self-realization? Self-realization is nothing but understanding the Ayurvedic principle and implementing them in a correct way in our life when we are alive. Because this Ayurveda is the foundation of that journey, what we call as spirituality. Now, I'm sure all of us in our life has traveled to different places, either for a short journey or for a long journey, either even in your own country or outside to the other country. And just think now, when you are thinking of, or you have already decided that I am going to go to another destination for certain days, week, 2 weeks, as a holiday, what we do? We start preparing our itinerary. We start preparing what sort of things I have to take with me, my luggage, what sort of things required there, and I will be making a booking in that place for a hotel, motel, or nowadays what you call them, B&B or those kind of things. You will try to book your ticket, whether it's an air ticket or a train ticket. So what I am sharing here is, we start preparing for our that sort of journey weeks and months ahead. But have we ever given a thought? Have we ever sit for a moment to think that, am I well prepared for my next journey? Have I done something that my next journey will be more smoother? Have I made my booking there where I am going to stay? Answer will be no. And that is where Ayurveda talked to us, that we must prepare for our that journey which is in simple terms we call it spirituality. Spirituality means to understand the reality of your spirit or soul, that where it comes from, where it will go, and how that journey is. Because if something is real or something is truth or unvanishable, it is only your spirit. This body is not real. This body, according to Ayurveda, is made of 5 elements. And those 5 elements at the end, at the time of our death, will merge in those 5 elements. Whatever caste, creed, culture, religion you are, according to your own religion, traditions, whatever you believe, your body will either go to fire, either go to water, or will be going to your earth. That does not matter. What matter has gone out. And now what matter, and which is ultimate your essence, how that comes in our body, and what happens when that soul is in our body. That is the whole experience, what each individual is having. That is why we always say, we are spiritual beings having a human being's experience. But with that human being's experience, we punish this soul so much that it gets disconnected from that Supreme. And that is the commitment soul has made in the beginning, when it came away from its source or creator or father, whatever we want to call it. That is why in Sanskrit, in Vedic culture, in Ayurveda, we call it Param Atma. Param means supreme, Atma means soul, and we have what we call as Nij Atma, means individual soul. So each individual has his own soul. That is our identity. And it is a natural law that one will be always attractive towards its source. And that source is what we call as your Param Atma, your creator, your God. As long as we always keep that connection, we can enjoy this temporary place of our living, which we have hired. Some has hired for 100 years, 90 years, 80 years, 70 years, 50 years, 30 years. That's according to the other law, what we not going to get into too much to talk about. So, when we look at this journey, even when we talk about now Ayurveda, in Ayurvedic or Vedic philosophy, alongside our yoga, we have been given various components which help us to prepare our journey for ultimate spirituality. So what are those components and how they get used so that our journey is smooth and There is no hindrances while we are in this world experiencing what we have came to experience. And the first and foremost component out of that is what we call as three gunas. Now one will ask, what is that three guna means and what they relate with? Again, as I just said, there are three prime components what will be helping us to have a smooth experience while we are in this creation, and then when we move ahead they will be also helping us, because there are two non-physical components, one we call as mind and one we call as a soul, Atma. Now soul is the essence of that creator, but that creator has sent this mind to protect its child. Whatever relationship you want to create a brother-sister relationship, you want to say father and son's relationship, you want to say mother and son's relationship, whatever way you want to describe this relationship of the Creator's energy with us as an individual. So in Vedic cultures we call it as a father and son's relationship. So when we are talking about this, just to understand a little bit, when this whole creation was created by that Creator, as a child, soul gets the curiosity that I want to see this, your new creation. I want to go there and spend some time. Father, as always, who knows what is good and what is bad for my child. Now, as we all know, if a child who is, say, 10-year-old, 12-year-old, asks that I want a key of your car and I want to go and have a ride, you will always say, no, you don't need that, you can't drive at the moment, you don't have the license. So many explanations, excuses you will share with that. But if the little one is keep insisting and keep making noise that I want to go, start crying, create more tantrum, at some stage you as a father will give up. But having so much care and love and attention for that little one, you will try your best that how I can protect my little one. And you might call your elder son or daughter and ask that, look, you need to go with him and let him go have a ride, and you will make a sort of condition with that little one that yes, you can enjoy this new car, you can go and have a good journey, but look, your elder brother will drive the car, you will have a belt, behave, all that part, keep the windows up, so many things. And the child, because of that enthusiasm, will say yes. And that's how happened with this part. When the Creator created this wonderful creation, what we call as our world, and the soul was seeking that I want to go and enjoy it. First, he tried to use different kind of tactics. No, you don't need to go there. That's not a place for you. But when it keep insisting, it made mind to go with it as a protector, as a servant. so that it can make soul to enjoy this creation but not get affected, and then in a timely manner it can come back home. And now when that was decided, then soul need a physical component to be in, so that it can enjoy that creation, because it was a physical being's creation. So that's where it taken a physical body for a certain time, and mind was also in the body with it. But somehow, when the mind was with the soul, mind get attracted towards various aspects of this creation under the influence of our five senses. We call them as Gyanindriya and Karamindriya, means action organs, and the senses which take the information. And when those senses, which known as Indriyas, start luring mind, and because simple principle at the time of this creation was that information will be gathered from these five senses will work under the guidance of mind so that nothing goes wrong with the soul. But when that normal equation get disturbed, mind get caught in the allurement of these five senses and start doing silly things, whatever, physical, mental and emotional aspect. Now, whatever was to happen or experienced, the impact has ultimately to go to soul. So the soul will pay the price, whatever has happened outside. So that price was in the form of coverings which start coming up on the soul. And when there are so many coverings start coming up on the soul, soul start getting detached from its ultimate source. And when that connection get disturbed or somehow cut, that's where soul start getting affected. Initially, under the influence of so much allurement, soul did not bother or worried about that. But in certain aspect, certain souls will have less coverings and will try to seek how I can go back to my home. And because that soul has been caught in this universe for so many thousands of years, has lost the path, and now there is an urge, there is a craving of that soul to merge and go to its source, but does not know how I can go. And that is the journey what soul will try to look for, and that journey is known as looking for spirituality. Now, again, as we all know, not every soul which is in this creation will always look for its source. Certain souls will be going out, and that's what we always see. There are certain people who are very much interested into spirituality. For many of us, it will be not a matter of even discussion or to think or like that. So that's all predestined aspect. But these predestined aspects are influenced by certain components, and that's where it comes up in Ayurveda. And as I said, because mind is the most crucial player in this whole episode or journey or experience, you can call it, and mind has three gunas. Gunas mean qualities. Now these three gunas have their own effect. So that's how these three gunas are known as sattvic, rajasic, tamasic. I won't go too much into that because otherwise the subject can go too long and we can spend the whole night here. But just to give you that what are the correlation between Ayurveda and spirituality and why Ayurveda is so close to the spirituality component. Because Ayurveda provides you all those components which help you to prepare for your journey towards that ultimate source. Without Ayurveda, no one in their life can ever go towards that journey because your preparation is not right. But unfortunately, many of us who even will know about all those components but don't really understand that how we have to use them. I will give you now the examples of all the various components, and then you can see what actually happened and why these things bring much more misery to us rather than having a smooth experience to my journey. Now the first component is sattvic, rajasic, tamasic. Now anyone who is into Vedic philosophy, yoga, Ayurveda, all they understand what these three mean. But under the influence of their own ego, under the influence of their own interest, every one of us will have our own definition of sattvic, rajasic, tamasic, and try to pretend that yes, I am the purest, I am the most sattvic person, and try to satisfy ourselves without really knowing that is that sattvic aspect is in my every cell or not, or is it only on my these two lips where I can pronounce sattvic, pretend sattvic, and talk sattvic. Word, not action, not deed, not thoughts. And that's where the wrong count start. I pretend that I am sattvic, but my parameter does not show that. On the surface, I will reflect that I am sattvic, but inside churning is going, and that churning is of rajasic and tamasic, so it does not letting me go anywhere, but in my thoughts I'm working on that. That's where my miseries will be still around. Then there is a second component, which we have our 7 chakras. Now those who are into Vedic principles understand that there are 7 chakras. Now each of the chakra, starting from the root, Swadhisthana, sacral, heart chakra, throat chakra, third eye, and the crown, they have their own field, energy field. They have their own physical, mental, emotional field and the impact. Now, yes, when we're talking about the spiritual journey, that is the one component which will play a role. And by reading various texts or our Vedas and ancient texts related with the spirituality, when we talk about chakras, then there is also description about chakras awakening, opening of the chakra, or having a smooth journey through the chakras. And that's where I hope many of you must have heard about Kundalini, awakening of the Kundalini. But now, unfortunately, most of people who are into this profession, because they have made it as a profession, whereas it was never a profession, it was your own journey. It's an individual journey which you need to accomplish. But then when we talk about 7 chakras, as I said, each chakra has its own field and the impact. Now, in a simple way you can understand. If you have not purified, or if you have not stabilized your 7 chakras which has the impact in your body, and start awakening them, what will happen? I'm sure every one of us know that. When there is some kind of impurities due to, again, my lifestyle, my activities, my thought, my deeds, those impurities are stagnated that energy. Now when I say energy, what that energy is, that is another field which is given in our Vedic aspect for our spiritual journey. We call them as 3 nadis. Nadis are known in simple English, we call them as channels, but they are not the physical nadis. You cannot dissect and find out. This is what most of our learned people always try to talk about and look at when we say non-physical aspect, when we talk about mind. Now every one of us know, even till date, our Western psychology don't even accept that there is a component called as mind which is separate from the physical brain. Slowly this concept is coming up now, but still it is not a fully understood, fully accepted part. So same is with those 3 nadis. We have Ida, Pingala and Sushmana. Now these 3 nadis are our prime component which will help to awaken the energy from the root chakra toward the top. Now each one has his own field. Ida has the left side part of the body, Pingala has the right side part of the body, and then Sushmana is the central one which goes in a spiral form. But question is, if I have to start that journey, I need to make sure that these all aspects are totally pure, no stagnation. But when I look at my lifestyle, when I look my diet, when I look my action, when I look my deeds, they are full of what we call as in simple language, impurities. Impurities in the form of toxins, you can say, ama you can call it in Sanskrit language. But I will never be bothered to purify them under the influence of my ego and start working, not only working for myself, but then start using it as a profession to teach other people. And because I never have made an effort to start my journey by looking at and or making an effort to purify them, I will never assess anyone who is coming to me to learn about Kundalini Yoga or other aspect and let them indulge into all those kind of activities, what we call as Rajasic and Tamasic. And now there is an undefined, unwritten law in a simple language that for this journey, what we are talking here, spiritual journey, what is the essential component is sattvic component. Without sattvic component, your journey can never ever start. And now if someone thinking that putting in my body, putting in my thoughts, putting in my deed all the time Rajasic component, Tamasic component, and I can start this journey or I can even take one little baby step toward that journey, I am making actually myself a big fool. That is what Ayurveda talk about. That don't even think in your dreams of spiritual journey if this journey, what we call as purifying your body, has not even taken one step. That is why you will see a lot of people who are into yoga and they have taken yoga as a profession in this part of the world or everywhere nowadays, right? Because yoga itself is very powerful. But when we talk about yoga, we only talk about one component, no? And that component is the asanas. What about the other yama and niyamas, 8 limbs of yoga? No one would like to talk about because that is not my part. My part is only to put my legs up and one way or the other and become a wonderful yoga practitioner and make other people also after a weekend or so practitioner, and then they will say, I'm the most spiritual person in the world because my spiritual journey has started. So, for giving yourself a bit of happiness, this thought is good, but at the end of the day, it's taking us nowhere. So that's the second component. So in that respect, when you are trying to work with your chakras, one need to know that if due to whatever my deeds or action or thought, if there is my one chakra blocked or something, we need to make sure that we try to work on them, try to purify them, try to make sure that the field for which that particular chakra relate with should not get affected, which is related with the physical organs in the body also. That is why there are certain kind of principles has been described in the Vedas again, that you can use certain kind of gemstone, you can use their ashes and apply around the field of a chakra so that the negative impact, the ama around that chakra which is making it block, does not impact those particular field areas of that chakra. So that's one aspect to talk about. This is what we call as a gemstone ashes chakra purifying gem powders of that kind. So now, apart from chakra, there is another aspect which help in this journey. We call it as 5 our koshas. Koshas means layer. these layers are also around this body which need to be looked at, kept purified, right? So that our journey become much more smoother. So what are those 5 layers or koshas, what we call as? First one is what we call as Annamaya kosha. Then we have our Pranamaya kosha. Then we have our Manomaya kosha. Then we have our Vijnana kosha. Then we have our Ananda kosha. Now, what are these? These are simple way, again in Ayurveda, Yoga, Vedic philosophy, as a pre-preparation for our spiritual journey. Now, when we talk about Annamaya kosha, Anna means food. Now, what kind of food we have to feed to this physical body? Well described there. So, if at some stage I am looking for that journey, I must make sure, again, the core component here is again the sattva. That sattvic component cannot be tilted, you have to follow that. So your food also should be based on that sattvic component, because whatever you will feed, that's what you will get out. So it's in a simple principle. Whatever you reap, so shall you reap. That is what you put it in the soil means that's how you're going to get. If you're putting seeds of chilies, you cannot expect mango. You will only get chilies. And that's how we have to pay for. And now, if I'm indulging all the time into Rajasic and Tamasic food, whether it is your meat all the time, processed food all the time, alcohol all the time, marijuana all the time, drugs, energy drinks and all, coffee, and many of us think of coffee with ghee or this kind of things can purify. How we are making ourselves fool, right? And that's what Ayurveda help you to understand. Ayurveda helped you to purify your each step, so that when you are ready, you can take in a big leap towards that journey. So these 5 koshas are something which we have to look at, as I mentioned. Annamaya kosha, then the Pranamaya kosha. Prana is your energy force, your life force. But every moment I am burning my prana due to my wrong kind of thoughts, which will be making me angry, frustration, jealous, hatred, anxious, nervous, panic attack. All that part is going in my life. How I able to keep my prana stable? No way. So first I have to look at that aspect so that I can keep it more and more stable. Then we have the next one is the Manomaya kosha. Mano means your mind. Now, if I don't listen to my mind component and try to keep my mind more stable in line with the body, where my journey going to start? And that again, Ayurvedic understanding will teach you, Vedic learnings will teach you, Yoga philosophy will teach you, Yoga asanas will not teach you. So that's what the part comes up. And then other 2 components of these koshas is one we call as Vijayaman kosha, means how you use your buddhi. Buddhi means your intelligence, vivek. If I am not making right decision and making all the time wrong choices, I have to pay for that. And then I will be only going downward, not upward. And then on other aspect, as I already shared about those 5 senses and the 5 action organs and all that part, they are the one who will make us to do the action, and as my action, as the outcome will be there, that will also I have to pay for. So these are all layers. Layers on what? Layers on my soul, which actually was the core component of my spirituality. So when I am creating so much of darkness with these layers, how come I can think of even spirituality, or how I can start my journey? Because it is under so much pressure that my journey, in spite of me having that thought, I can't move. If I have been under the burden of, say, 100 kg, I can't even move around that, right? No matter how powerful my source is, and my source is always knocking at my door that come, but because of that burden of all those darkness which I have created myself, right, through all that part what I just shared, I can't even move. I can only cry under that weight. So our first job is to burn those darkness, those dark layers. And those dark layers cannot be burned in a one day. It's in a journey. That dark layers are not of one life, have not come in a one day, and cannot be burnt so quickly. And that is where the part comes up. What part means? How I can start my spiritual journey and where that journey starts. So in that aspect now, we get caught into the outwardly aspect. When I say outwardly aspect, means we feel the spirituality is either in this temple or in this church or in this masjid or whatever the places. These places are actually man-made. They are not made by that creator. We are the one who have created these places. But these places, what we call as our temple, our churches, all has been described by our saints, mystics, those people who taken their journey, what we are talking here, spirituality, and whatever they experience in that pathway of journey, they try to explain, but when they explained, they try to create something outside so the human beings able to understand. But rather than understanding that this is the sketch, this is the sort of what you call them, your plan for your ultimate house, because plan on the paper is not your house. House is only when